Veterans re-entering civilian life face many challenges, including finding a job. Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Welcome to this edition of Military Makeover Operation Career. Today, we have 3 inspirational stories of former servicemen and women who have reinvented themselves and are thriving at companies who value their unique skills. Ward Transport and Logistics is a veteran-owned company who prioritizes hiring hard-working, honest former military. It's one of the reasons why they have such a long history in the transportation and delivery industry.
We are almost 92 years old. The company was started in 1931 by my great-grandfather, William Ward. He started out with a loan to buy his first truck, and all these years later, we're now close to a fleet of 700 trucks, 22 locations across the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, and Midwest. We put an emphasis on hiring veterans because being a veteran myself, I understand the work ethic, the loyalty, the dedication that comes with being a veteran. Additionally, I think veterans provide a unique perspective in business.
The branch that I served in, I was in the Ohio Army National Guard. I was a radio repair specialist. So we did things along repairing radios. We installed the radio comms inside of all of the trucks that we used. I was a big part of our junior leadership and training new soldiers, getting them integrated into the unit, getting them familiarized with everybody, kind of trying to be a role model for any questions, anything that, they needed. Doing the National Guard, I did 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year. I did that for 6 years. I actually started at Ward my last year in the military. So I did have some time with Ward where I would go in uniform, work for a couple hours, and then have to leave to go do my military obligations. I chose Ward Trucking. My dad was actually a line haul driver with Ward Trucking for 20 years. He started there in '95. So I grew up with Ward. I grew up with the terminal manager and coming out here doing fun functions with the Ward family, so it was meant to be.
I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps active duty in 2007 as an infantry rifleman and did a deployment to Iraq in 2008 and Afghanistan in 2010. Dealt with playing point man on foot patrols and also dealing with communications and being a radio operator for the platoon commander and also helping out with the company radio operators. I started working in a warehouse as a selector and did that for about 4 years, and I discovered I could use my GI Bill at one of the local business schools to get my actual CDL paid for without any out-of-pocket expense for myself. I worked for another trucking company for about 5 years after I left the warehouse position, and my brother-in-law had worked for Ward for 10 years and had just left to pursue a law enforcement career. So he mentioned I should look at coming over to Ward because that still had the family ties to the leadership in the company.
Ward is a very big supporter of veterans. We have our Freedom trucks, which is phenomenal. We do have a lot of veterans that work for the company. Having a higher up that is a veteran definitely helps. He understands where we come from, the veteran mentality. A lot of the military mentality is a huge help for the company as well, with teaching different things you wouldn't learn. Working at Ward has been life-changing. Of all the different things that I've gotten to do that I never would have been able to do anywhere else. The people that I've gotten to meet, the things that I've gotten to do, it's a great opportunity, and there's so much room for advancement and room for so much more.
As a pickup and delivery driver, I'm home every night. I start anywhere from 6 to 9 in the morning, depending on what route I have, and get back anytime between 4 and 7 at night, depending on how much there is to do.
The reason why I think Ward Transport and Logistics is a good landing place for veterans and a good place for veterans is that we have a lot of veterans in all aspects of our business. From dock workers to drivers to leadership to marketing, we have a ton of veterans that work here. And we all kind of speak the same language, we understand the culture, we understand our mutual background, and that's very much celebrated here.
Welcome back to Operation Career. Today, we're joined by two combat veterans who saw a need to bridge military excellence with risk management expertise. How about that, huh? Mr. Josh Zott and Mr. Brian Swigert from Surefox are with us this morning. Thank you so much, guys, for being
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, for sure. Tell me a little bit about your background. What branch of service were you in? How many years you served? What rank did you achieve?
I was in the Army for 7 years. Brian and I met in 2003, serving in Iraq during the original invasion.
I served for about 12 years, so went to West Point and then did 12 years on the officer side. So.
And coming up real soon will be that game. You know what I have to say. Go Navy.
Go Army, be Navy.
Well, what are some of the lessons that you guys learned while you were in the military?
There was a lot to take away from the military. Moving out into the regular world, being able to show up on time, bring it 100% every day. The military teaches you a lot.
I think the biggest one for me would be accountability, and then also just having confidence, being able to solve problems at a young age, being kind of entrusted with that overseas.
When you leave the military, it's a passing. Something's dying, right? And you have to mourn it and move on. And nobody prepares you to mourn for a career or something intangible like a job.
Absolutely. And the transition must not have been as easy as people think it was it?
No, transition for me was pretty terrible, actually. I think you think you're going to be prepared for it, but once you actually step into it, there are so many challenges that you're not expecting, that you're not prepared for. And really, the best thing you can do is go out and reach out, ask some questions before you step into that.
Well, whose idea was it to start Surefox?
It's Josh's, actually. So I came back actually from living overseas for a few years, and Josh approached me with the idea for Surefox.
And what's the mission?
Honestly, it started off, Brian and I, we originally started off talking about starting a nonprofit, one that would help veterans transitioning get jobs, right? And so we sat down, we had a donor lined up, and everything looked great, and then we started really getting into the difficulties of what that looked like. We decided, why don't we just start a regular company that provides good jobs with good pay, and we'll help veterans that way.
What better way to also create a space where veterans don't have to go through that challenge necessarily, where we get to decide who gets hired, how to bring them into the organization, than to create a successful business around it. We work with corporations, and then we work point to point with some folks for their security needs too.
This is kind of why I think Surefox would be a good long-term career, right?
No, absolutely. It's a great home for veterans that are transitioning. It's a place that gives community and great pay, good benefits. It's life-giving because it's being able to step back in that same situation, use the same skills without all the danger, right? The danger still exists, but you're not on the streets of Yemen. You're not, trying to hold the line somewhere in Syria.
Their skills tend to transfer over too, especially those that have worked or been deployed. They have kind of an eye for security situations, safety, those kinds of measures that we take on the private side.
Talk a little bit about what the demographic is.
It's completely mixed. We have folks that are traditionally non-military all the way until your Delta Force and your special operators. The skills that everybody learns in basic training, those general orders, everybody gets pounded into them. They're 10 times the guard that anybody else is. When coming out of a 40-hour course, you can't compare to a 6-month training course or putting years behind, public service.
Sure. And
so it just produces a different kind of employee.
Absolutely true. I mean, the accountability factor is probably the biggest thing that the veteran community brings to our workforce. They show up, and it's not just showing up on time, but they show up and they're ready to do the job. And when there's an issue, they're ready to work through what those problems are with our clients, which makes for great customer service on our end too.
The similarities I see between Surefox and the military are the core values. We have a value system that we go by every day, the esprit de corps that we exercise daily, and then really the teamwork. Working across all spectrums, the trust that they give us, and the ability to accomplish the mission.
I have definitely found that sense of belonging that I had in the Army here at Surefox. I think one of the most important things that I love about it is that everyone expects great things from each other because we all do our part.
Surefox certainly was the answer for me to recapture that camaraderie that I was missing, and I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's It's a civilian version of being in the military.
So Surefox actually changed my life because I had a really tough time transitioning out of the military. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I did not transition well. I had a really tough time. Surefox actually gave me a second chance in life, I feel like, and it gave me purpose again.
You know, when you leave the military and you're exiting that chapter, you have this made-up, story in your mind of what something looks like, where you're going, or what it's going to be. And for me, it was kind of scary to think that I was going to be like a security guard at a mall or something, right? But no, there's a vast industry out there. You know, there's plenty of application for all those skills that you obtain in the military, whether it's in the EP side of things, your special forces guys, or if you got standing post on a campus somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing we bring is that sense of community. So when they leave the military, we've tried to create that at the company. That's a lot of the feedback that we get from the current employees, is that they feel like they're back in one of their units, but without some of the, I guess, trials and tribulations with being part of a DoD unit.
Okay, but I'm a former cryptologic officer. So convince me that I want to come to work for Surefox.
We do have an intel section. So just like any good operation, we underpin it with good information. And so we have about a 5-person section that's what they focus on. We spend a lot of money on making sure that they're armed with the best equipment to help support our teams that are out there in the field too. So it's a great team environment. They get to, again, take that cryptological kind of background, apply that to something new with the same kind of people you used to work with, but now in a different environment.
So guys, if people wanted to know more about Surefox or where they could go to get more information, where would they go?
Our website, surefox.com. It's a great place to apply. Even if you don't see an open rec that fits you, get into the system. We've got an excellent recruiting team that'd be happy to integrate you and get you started.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here with us today.
No, thank you. I appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
for sure. Absolutely. Good opportunity. We'll be back right after this. For veterans who work at Cincinnati Metro, it's about more than just operating or repairing buses. It's about providing critical services, transportation, to and from jobs, education, healthcare, and family entertainment, often to the most vulnerable members of the community.
Cincinnati Metro is all about connecting people to what matters most to them, whether it's jobs, healthcare, education, entertainment, anything that provides them with quality of life. We are working very hard to provide a very robust and quality transportation system so that we're able to meet our community's needs and making sure they can access whatever matters to them most through public transit. No matter the career interest, we have it here at Metro. Whether it's accounting, HR, marketing, maintenance, operators, there's a role for everyone.
I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood, just kind of grew up poor, didn't have a lot of options, didn't see a lot of options at the time. My family was a military family, and they always spoke highly of their experience when serving in the military. I served in the United States Navy from 1989 to 1993. I trained as an electrician.
I was in the Army for 5 years. I was straight out of high school, joined the military. My dad did 38 years in the service, so I say, hey, well, let's see how this will be going after service. In the military, I was in aviation with the military.
We like to say here at Metro, it's not just about a job, it's a career. And you can walk through the halls and find an employee in any department who's been here 30, even 40 years, which is quite unheard of in many industries. People start in the door as a bus operator, and they work their way up to supervisors or managers and even directors in some spaces.
Opportunities for advancement is one of the things I love here at Metro. And if you are applying yourself, you are applying skills that you have or even you develop here, you will have an opportunity to move up as military personnel are aware of, get promoted to the next rank.
I found Metro. I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio, so I knew of Cincinnati. I knew of Cincinnati Metro. The agency has always had a good reputation, and the city of Cincinnati has always been a fun and vibrant city. So when the opportunity came up to apply for a job here at Metro, I took it.
There was a lot of great things I learned in the military that I could bring over here. One thing was leadership. I'm able to apply the leadership tactics that I learned in the service here at Metro.
I think Metro is a great place for veterans to work because the skill set that you learn in the military really starts around teamwork, how to be an effective member of a team, how to execute as a member of a team, and how to work independently and autonomously with minimal supervision. Those are all highly sought after skill sets for any organization, much less, definitely a public organization for sure. Here at Metro, the work that we do serves a much greater purpose than just the work that we do. It serves our community. It helps provide a vital lifeline for the residents of Cincinnati and Hamilton County. At the heart of every veteran is that need to serve.
One big advice that I give to people that's transition out of the service is find something you love to do, because you're coming from a career that didn't control you a lot in the military. Find something that you want to do and love to do, and find that passion, and you're going to do all right.
We are so excited to share that we created a new program called MVP, which stands for Metro's Veterans Program. And any retired or active duty military personnel can ride our service anywhere throughout the county at a reduced cost, which is just about $1. So when you think about those who need to access public transportation to get to the VA or to get to education or just to go to a game, the local Reds game or a Bengals game, they can take advantage of having that reduced fare on public transit. And for us, it's a small way for us to say thank you for your service, and also to ensure that we're removing transportation as a barrier from our veterans to get the right resources that they need to have successful and lucrative and happy and healthy lives.
Great to see that after sacrificing so much to our military service, today's veterans have found careers where they've been able to shine. I'm Montel Williams. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Military Makeover Operation Career. We'll see you next time.